Okay, so let's have a look at how we find means from tables. It's something which is kind of messed up quite a lot. And the reason that's bad is, firstly, these questions come up virtually every single year. I'm not sure I can remember a year where it hasn't came up. And the fact that it hasn't came up in the first paper means it's either coming up in paper 2 or paper 3. So you definitely want to get good at it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the two types of questions. So one of them is, for example, here's a question about 20 students scored goals for a hockey team, and here's the kind of goals they scored. Okay, so they scored a whole bunch of that. But notice here, you know exactly how many goals they scored: 1, 2, 3, and 4, etc. And then here's the interesting thing. Okay, it says work out. Bear with me. It says work out the mean number. So it's work out. Now here's the other type of question you can get. So this is like the group frequency table. Not that you need to know the name or anything. So 80 people work in Jenny's factory, and it shows about the amount of pay which each of these kind of guys get. Now notice here, it's the question says work out an estimate for the mean. And the reason for this is because you know there's 32 people who got paid between 10,000 and 14,000. That's why it's an estimate. Okay, so that's just like a quick point before I go into it. Anyway, let's just put that aside. Let's have a look at this. So you're trying to find out the mean from this. So firstly, let me just go over a few little side things. So it goes, find out the modal number of goals scored. So that's saying, what was what number of goals was most often scored? Well, can you see 1? So what this means is 1 was scored 9 times, 2 was scored 3 times. Basically, answer for that is 1. Work out the range of number of goals scored. Well, can you see the most they scored was 1, the least they scored was 4, so the range is 3. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me get rid of that. Okay, but now let's get to the actual real question. Work out the mean number of goals scored. So here's how basic you always work out the mean. Okay, mean equals sum of numbers over how many. And to be honest, like a better way to maybe think about it is just if I call this sum of the list. Okay, now here's why. Because you always know how to find the mean. I hope you do anyway. So imagine if I gave you a splatter of numbers. Say if I gave you 3, 4, 10, 17, and 5. So there's 5 now. Imagine if I asked you to find the mean. Are you pretty happy? This is our list. Yeah, so we add it all together. So 3, add 4, add 10, add 17, add 5. So we would get, for the mean, we'd get 39. So we added our list over how many there are. Well, there's 5 numbers. And you just do that, which is a 7.8. But that's not really the big point here. So, okay, now don't forget that it does not change. So it's like when you're asked to do the mean of this, the mistake which a lot of people do, well, they're just not sure where to start on what to go about. Here's what you do. Whenever they give you like a table like this, understand that there is a list behind it. And if you understand that list, everything else is okay. Now here's how it works, okay? So let's look at the first row. It goes, they scored 1 goal 9 times. So if we think about a list, we've got like 9 ones. Okay, so we've got 9 of those. Then we got 2 3 times. I could have drawn all of them, but I'm just kind of making the point. Okay, so you got 3 here. Then we could have like 3. We've got that 5 times. And we've got 4 3 times, okay? That's our list of numbers in the same way where I'd have if I gave you something like, It's just that this is a much longer list, okay? So that's what it is. So the same way, I mean, if we want to find out the mean, we could literally get calculator, do 1, add 1, add 1, add 1, 2, add 2, go on forever and do it like that. The only problem with that is, that's going to take ages. But there's a quicker way to do it. So what you do is you sort of just you want to firstly, how many numbers are there? Well, there's 9 numbers here, there's 3 here, there's 5 here, there's 3 here. So the answer is you add these up. Okay, you add those up. So 9 add 3, which is 20. Which, by the way, they actually said in the question itself. But regardless, you just add them up. Make sure that's if they don't tell you, that's how you figure out. So you know that the mean for this is going to be over 20. Alright, and that's what a lot of people don't do. A lot of times people divide by 4 because they think there's 4 rows. You never ever do that. That's a really common mistake. If you can think of the question saying what's in your list, you don't fall for this. And anyway, how do you add these up? Well, this is what this for. Can you see like a quicker way of adding it up? Is we know there's 9 ones, so that's going to be 9. So we do 9 times 1. 3 2s, that gives you 6. 5 3s, that's 15. 4 3s, 12. So you can just sort of add all of those up. So where's that? 9 plus 6 plus 15 plus 12. It's 42. Okay, 42. So you can use your calculator, whatever. That gives you 2.1, which actually makes sense. So it's saying like on average they scored 2 goals. The mistake which a lot of people would have done is like 42, and they would have divided by 4 rows. I mean, the reason that's wrong is that comes out as 10.5. So you're saying on average the team scored 10.5 goals, which is ridiculous because they never scored more than 4. So that's one way, and the reason I say that is just because, does your answer look right or not? That's how you do it. And by the way, the reason that this is here is just to help you with the adding, because you do that you multiply all of these together. So you can go like 9, 6, 15, 12, and you can sort of add them together like that. Basically, you want those two kind of like rows added together in a way. You do it like that. Okay, does that make sense? So that's how you do it. And notice it says work out the mean, because you know exactly what's in your list. Now, let's have a look at this. Let me drop that out. So, by the way you do the mean is it's always going to be the same. Okay, so the mean never changes. Now, here you'll notice here it says work out an estimate for the mean. Now, remember, to work out the mean, you always need a list. Now, we run into a problem here. Because what the top row is saying is we've got 32 workers who earn between 10,000 and 14,000. But we legit have no clue what those numbers are. Okay? So what do? It's literally as simple as this. We just assume that every single one of these 32 is earning the midpoint, 12 grand. Does that make sense? That's it. And that's why it's work out an estimate for the mean. Because we don't know. So we're just saying, okay, screw it, they're all 12,000. So if you now kind of think of your list, you've got a bunch of 12,000s, and you've got like 32 of them. You've got 15,000s is the next one. And you got like 24 of them. You get my gist. Feel free to skip. I kind of wish I kind of picked a question where it wasn't such massive numbers. Easy enough anyway. So feel free to draw another, probably want to give yourself a bit more room than that. But firstly, okay, let's kind of go about the mean. How many, so you know how it's always how many are there? But the mistake which a lot of people do, and trust me, people all over the country will do this a massive chunk, is they'll divide by 5 because they see 5 rows. It's not that. It's you add all of these up, because there's 32 numbers here in your list, 24, So do 32, add 24, add 16, add 6, that's 2. There's 80, which actually said in the question anyway. But if it doesn't, you always just sort of add that up. Okay, and then finally, you can just sort of multiply, 12,000 by that, and you can do that. But if we just do that here, so you've got 12,000 times 32. So this is 384,000. 24 times 15 grand. Have I made no. 16 times 17 grand. 272,000. 6. 4,000. That one I know, 60 grand. So you add all of those up, because that's essentially you adding up the list. Okay, big number. Okay, so you divide that by 80. Yeah, so your mean comes out at 14875. That's your estimate as well, which sounds reasonable, because at least it looks like something which could be correct, You don't have to put the pound. There you go. Okay. And by the way, sometimes you get I didn't actually, so part B says it says explain why your answer to part C is an estimate, and all they're looking for is you're saying you use the midpoints. And it just comes to the fact because you don't actually know how much each person was paid, so you just use the midpoints. But midpoints is an important thing there. Okay, yeah, hopefully that makes sense.